Hello. My name is Kim Ades, and I am the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching. And I want to welcome you to the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast, where we get willing volunteers to get coached live and in person right on the podcast. I want to introduce to you a new friend. Her name is Nkechi Nwafor-Robinson. Did I say it right?
It's good. Nkechi Nwafor-Robinson.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am so delighted to have you on this podcast. You are actually a VP at the Toronto Dominion Bank, yes?
Associate Vice President.
Okay.
I don't mind the promotion, but you know.
So I'll tell you, I have a particular sweet spot for the TD Bank because I'll take you way back. My mom, who was an immigrant, came to Canada from Egypt without really being able to speak English. She had absolutely no secretarial skills. She graduated with a barely high school diploma and started working for the bank as a secretary, the TD Bank, as the secretary of the manager, and she started typing with two fingers. Over the course of her career, she gradually moved up the ranks and ended up becoming a bank manager at the TD Bank.
Wow.
And so, for whatever reason, I have a very special place in my heart for the TD Bank. So that's my history, but tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? Where do you live? What do you do?
I love it. It's interesting because I know I'm going to be sharing a challenge with you. And so, so it may seem like an oxymoron when I say this, but I'm so happy to be who I am. I turned 48 this past Tuesday. And it's the first time where it's like I had a birthday where it's like, if nobody wished me a happy birthday, I would still be so abundantly blessed with everything that I have and everyone that was in my life, and it takes work to get there, and I just know that there's just even more opportunity. Like I'm so excited about the future. And I think I'm, laser focused on making sure that that's where my excitement lives and not ever in my past. Right. And so, I give credit to my parents who are immigrant. They came from Nigeria. They migrated here by choice, back in the 60s, and they decided to stay. They had myself and my brother. So I grew up I was born in Ottawa, grew up in Montreal. So je parle français un petit peu.
Where did you grow up in Montreal?
In the West Island.
Where?
Beaconsfield on Sherbrooke Street.
Wow, I grew up in the West Island too.
No way! Well, that's awesome.
In Dollard.
Yeah, in Dollard. Okay.
I went to school in Pierrefonds. We'll talk about that later.
And I went to St. Thomas. Anyway, so yeah, my parents are actually still there. So I grew up there, and I grew up in a time when there was a lot of racism, and so a lot of the pain that I, embrace today and have turned it to purpose comes from, growing up in those type of environments. Right. And so, but it's really made me who I am, which is somebody who doesn't want other humans to ever go through that. Right. And I have on my vision board, a saying that, it's a vision that says the best way to become a billionaire is to help a billion people. Right. And so that's my driving mission every single day, is that that I want to be able to do that. I truly believe I believe it. I see it every day. So I've gone to a place where it's a belief system for me. Yeah. And I think even now at 48, I'm pairing up everything against it, So, that's a lot about who I am and what I'm made for. Is everything I do is about empowering others.
Let me ask you a quick question. When you say I want to help 1 billion people, how do you want to help them? Like, is there a specific road you want to take to helping them? Is it through helping them financially? Is it helping them feel better about themselves?
I think it could be all that. So I want to help them think in a way that's empowering, right? Because it all starts in the mind. So, and our battlegrounds are...
We're sisters from another mother.
Right? So that's it, right? It's the battleground is in the mind. Once you can help shift that, then yes, it helps with the finances. It helps with relationships. It helps with, career. It helps with whatever it is that they're destined or feel that they want to achieve or do in their life. It starts in the mind, right? And so that's what I'm after. How I want to do it, that's one of the challenges that I probably could have shared today, because but I would say that the dream is unfolding, because when I first had that on my vision board, I put it on in 2018. I didn't have a viral video. I have a viral video now that has over 7 million views, been shared 10,000, over 20,000 times worldwide. And
how do people find your video?
It would be on my social media handles. If you share them,
we will share them.
Okay.
But for people who are listening, who are like, wow, I want to find it right now,
they can Google my name.
Google your name.
And look at videos.
We're going to write it down at the bottom of this podcast so that everybody can see how it's spelled and can go find it right away.
Except you want to stay watching the
yeah, not right away. After this is over. Okay. What is your challenge today, and how can I be of service to you?
Sure. So I feel what it should be is around, as much as I said all of that, I challenged in my career, the job I'm paid for, to articulate my value, the value that I bring to the organization. Especially, I'm at a stage in my career where I want to do something like different, something that really scares me. And so it's not going to be something that, it's going to be something where I would say there's skill sets that I've acquired, and I'm in leadership. So that makes it a little bit easier. I would say that I'm a really strong leader, but it's about my potential, right? And so it's articulating my value in places where, they'd be challenged based on my experience to see, how I can really help in that space.
So let me translate. Let me see if I got it. You're saying I have a set of experience that goes like this, but what I really want to do is over here in another direction. And so in order for me to go there, I need to be able to express how that's the right road for me, because I need buy-in from key stakeholders.
That's one way, yeah. And showing why I'm the right person, even though I may not have the direct experience in that space.
Okay. And what do you think is going to be the resistance specifically?
Exactly that. You don't have the experience. You get caught up against that. We're in very interesting times. So I'm very mindful with the words that I use, right? But I know I've heard that a lot in my career, and to the point where there are places where I probably could have gone and smashed, but for whatever reason, either being a woman or being Black, whatever, in a technology field, I shied away from, because I didn't tick all the boxes, as an example.
So shied away, or people just said, no, you're not a good candidate?
I shied away. I didn't go and attack it. I've been very fortunate I say all that too. I've been very fortunate in my career where I have been tapped for all the roles but I would say if you look at my career, it's, though I've played in multiple companies and different spaces, I've had roles that scare me, but I haven't done anything that is really just like jumped off the cliff type role, And I think, where I see myself and where I believe I could get to my trajectory, I need roles that I'd have to jump off the cliff for. And I think people that get into those kind of roles that are so different than what they've done is because somebody sees their potential.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. Is there a role that you see that you want that feels like you're jumping off the cliff in the bank, in the organization? Is there a role that's already there that you're like, that's the one I want?
So I know what space I want to play. I don't know the names of the roles. To answer your question, not on today. I couldn't tell you the name of the role. I would say that it would either be an AVP or VP level, and I would tell you that it would be in the data and analytics or data governance or data management space. So in the data world, I'm very excited about that.
Okay. Okay. And you think that they're going to say, no, sorry, you have no experience?
It's possible. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk about some of this. Okay. So you have let's call it a big vision for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you also have shared with me that you're like a visionary. You're the kind of person who has a big vision. And there's something inside of you that has, up until now, and I know you don't want to look at your past, but your past is useful to understand patterns and trends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're just informative. Okay, we're not staying in the past, we're just using the past to understand your present. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you've expressed that I've always been a visionary. I've always had big goals. I do have big goals. I want to help 1 billion people. And there's a part of me that is playing a little bit smaller than I know I'm capable of. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the reason why we do that is because we have a set of beliefs about what's possible for us. We have a set of beliefs about what we're capable of, how we come across, how people think of us, what people will let us do and what they won't let us do. And those beliefs determine the actions we take and the actions we don't take. So your belief is right now, hey, they're not going to let me go to where I want to go, and I'm not exactly sure exactly where that is, but they won't let me because they're going to say I'm inexperienced. And so what we want to do is address those beliefs, because as long as those beliefs exist, we stop ourselves from taking action. And so in your case, the action you haven't taken yet is to truly define the role you want.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean, it may be a role that exists that you say, that's the one I want, or it may be one that you create, that you invent, that you define, that you chart out for yourself, that's perfectly designed for you, but also perfectly meets a very, very important business need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not doing that. You're just kind of like saying, over there somewhere is something I want.
Mm-hmm.
And you're keeping it a little bit far because it's a little safer for it to be a little intangible.
Mm.
And so what I encourage you to do is to really define it by doing the research, by setting up, in today's day and age, they call them coffee chats. I don't know where that term came from, but coffee chats with people who are already in those roles. So you understand what's required. And the reason for that is you want to see how much inexperience you actually have, what experience you might need, but more importantly, what experience you have that's easily transferable. So it may be that you're far more experienced than you think. It may be that the experience you require is easily accessible. And it may be that you actually forge a relationship with someone who can easily pave the way. But like you're waiting for someone to tap on your shoulder to say, hey, I see potential in you. And there's a role for you to play in tapping on someone's shoulder to say, hey, I'm interested in what you do. And I'm interested in building a relationship that maybe leads to the place you want to go. Mm-hmm. But there's a role for you to play in this, which is far more active than you may have considered before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
So I'll share fully transparently. If I was only able to muster once you started, because I was like, should kind of reach for Kleenex. Like it touched me right away. So I recognize that there's a gap between the vision and the belief. I believe that. And so I'd love to start to dispel some of those inner beliefs, because I know that for sure. You can't achieve beyond your beliefs, right?
Yeah. And so here's the interesting part for you is like you're playing in my field. Like that's what you're interested in. I want to look at how they think, right? Is really what you're saying. If I want to touch 1 billion people and I say how, you say I want to affect their thinking. Mm-hmm. And so from my perspective, because I am probably the other person that you will meet just as passionate as you about this subject. Mm-hmm. But I know that because I'm human, I have a whole bunch of beliefs that I'm not even aware of that hold me back. Mm-hmm. And so in order for me to be able to serve others, I need to constantly challenge my own beliefs, do my own work, and find the right partners who can hold up a mirror and say, here's something holding you back. Here's something holding you back. And what I'm doing, and some days I win, some days I'm not such a winner, but I try to slay those beliefs so that they are out of my way on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I said yes to the podcast.
Well, I'm thrilled that you did, because I think you do have a big mission. And I don't think that your mission is like a one woman mission. In other words, like you need a team, you need a whole bunch of people at your side, you know, supporting you in all kinds of ways. And I think it's a really, really worthy vision. So if, you know, this is the conversation that kind of gets the engine running, I'm thrilled to be a part of it. And I hope that, you know, we collaborate more down the road.
No, that's awesome. And we will. I think, well, I'm curious about a lot of things already, so we will.
Okay. Well, I am so happy. Thank you for being on the podcast with us and for sharing your challenge and for having such an amazing goal. One day I do want to talk to you about how you could be okay. My birthday's coming up soon. How you could be okay not getting any birthday wishes, because I want to get to that place. I don't know if I'm there yet. So
No?
we'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
But thank you for being on the podcast with me. And for those of you who are listening, if there is a challenge that you want to share on the podcast, please reach out to me. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. And if there's a challenge that you want to share, but you're not comfortable talking about on the podcast, please reach out to me anyways. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. And I really do hope this is the beginning of a friendship.
Woo, I love it. Love it. Hearts to you.